Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Pipe Bomb Sessions. And this week we'll be recapping SmackDown and the go home show for Raw leading into Backlash this upcoming Saturday. I will say SmackDown was a little bit on the slower end. Raw picked it up somewhat. I think the ending of Raw was really dope. We saw the return of my boy CM Punk and the guy who just doesn't give up, Sami Zayn. We saw them coming out later to end the night to help Jey Uso out, but we'll touch on that in just a little bit. Let me get into SmackDown first. As I mentioned earlier, SmackDown just seemed like it was more of a like, hey, we're just gonna throw a couple things together and not worry about it this week. That's really what it seemed like to me. It was like, okay, like what are we doing here? But hey, at least it started off with a pretty good tag team match with Fraxium and Pretty Deadly. Fraxium did end up winning that. I see they're just racking up wins, of course, as a new team, but I can see them definitely, going after Montez and Dawkins for those tag titles. I really think that's probably in the mix of it. Right after that, we see Aleister Black versus The Miz. I mean, The Miz at this point in his career has become the guy to just take a beating from anybody who's returning or some kind of big star, which is fine. I think he's okay with that role. Obviously, he can still talk up a good promo, in my opinion, so that keeps him extremely relevant. Aleister Black gives him the black mass to kick off not only Miz's head, but his return to SmackDown on Friday nights. I like it. Momentum slowly building. A matchup I thought that was going to happen a little bit later, but it did already, was the Santos Escobar versus Rey Fenix. Rey Fenix ended up winning that bout. However, you can see some kind of dissension possibly happening with Legado del Fantasma. Maybe Andrade is trying to, take some people from that team. Specifically, I know he went after Berto a couple weeks ago. It looked like Angel Garza was interested in what Andrade had to say. Let's see how that unfolds going next. We had a segment at one point backstage with Nick Aldis telling Fatu that he'll be defending his U.S. title in a triple threat match with Damian Priest, Fatu, and LA Knight. Now, what was very interesting is that Solo started talking and saying that wasn't fair, and technically Drew McIntyre was the number one contender since he won last week. Nick Aldis upped the ante and basically said Solo's right, and that will make it a fatal four, and I drew in it. Simple as that. Jacob Fatu didn't seem like he was stressed out or worried. He's the Samoan werewolf. My man can take care of business. But I know he ain't a dumbass. He can see what Solo's trying to do. Solo's getting jealous. We can see that. Even Nick Aldis called him out for it, saying like, yo, I'm not the one screwing Jacob over. That's you, homie. That's you messing him up. That's not me. Like, damn, get yourself in check. Jacob Fatu's going to put Solo in check. Don't you worry, guys. And I think it's happening much, much sooner than we think. I don't know when. Could be happen right after Backlash. I can see it as soon as that. I mean, we've seen these seeds being planted for months at this point. So it's going to happen. Fatu's over with the crowd, and that's, in my opinion, going to be a very good match at Backlash. I'm looking forward to that one. Randy Orton, the Viper, then comes out next to the ring, hypes up his match with Cena. Of course, Cena's not here tonight, so he's out there just, promoting, hyping it up, saying how Cena basically took over and took advantage of the PG era to really just sell his merch, get people behind him. In reality, he didn't really care about him. And I think that something that's interesting to note that happened after the promo, after Randy Orton hypes up the crowd, leaves, in the backstage segment, you see R-Truth coming at Orton's neck, saying like, yo, I hope you know that Cena's gonna beat you, and he's gonna retain. That's his childhood hero. We know that Truth's been saying this for years. But very interesting. Truth didn't come off as just a regular comedy guy in that segment. He was kind of showing signs of a heel turn. I mean, I know it's just our truth. It's not somewhat significant, but what if he turns heel and starts assisting Cena at times that Cena needs it? I mean, could be a possibility, and maybe gets Truth just on TV more. Truth's a great comedy act, regardless of the fact. So I think that would be interesting. We really haven't seen a heel Truth in who knows how long. So it threw me off when he came off like that. It really did throw me off. So now let's transition to our main event. And the main event was a tag team match, which I figured after seeing last week all the woman brawl. Tiffy and Jade against Naomi and Nia Jax. Of course, Tiffy and Jade win. They brawled afterwards. Everybody gets taken out. At one point, Jade has the title on her shoulder. Naomi attacks her, and Naomi is left standing with the title in the middle of the ring, standing over Jade. I don't know if this means that they are going to go forward with a fatal 4-way match for this, or are they just going to let Tiffy and Nia maybe duel it out for the title while Naomi and Jade kind of just keep working their feud, keep going further and deeper into it? I'm glad that Naomi didn't really just get pushed to the side after her Mania loss, because that would have been horrible for her heel turn. So it was good. It was good that we're keeping them relevant. I will say SmackDown just felt a little bit slower paced. Seemed like Triple H really just put this card together and was looking ahead to Backlash, or probably for that, the last SmackDown before Backlash as well. Makes sense to me. Possibly that, he does that. He's just trying to hype things up. Maybe we get a match or two announced Friday night. You never know this. But overall, I thought SmackDown was a little bit on the slower end this week. I will say that. Now, transitioning into Monday Night Raw, our champion, Jey Uso, kicks off the night. He's coming out. He's hyped up as usual. And who interrupts him? It's Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman basically, he has a mental breakdown out there with Jey. He's like, how dare everybody call him a hypocrite, that he betrayed the family, especially coming from Jey, since he was the one who first did it. And he says that, CM Punk even took full advantage of him, because what did Punk think? That he was just gonna betray his tribal chief and just come out with him. And then he says that, the tribal chief also, what do you think, that I was just gonna spill your secrets or something to Punk? Like, Paul Heyman right there in that promo seemed like he really felt devastated and betrayed from both of his people. His best friend in CM Punk and his OTC in Roman Reigns. I find that very, very interesting. Of course, then he did bring up the fact that Roman also returned for the Ula Fala and not even cared that Paul Heyman got attacked by Solo months earlier, disappeared on the guy, and nobody was there for Paul Heyman. And so, Paul Heyman's also always known as the guy who betrays and always lies to people. And, Jey Uso stops and he goes, hey man, you alright? And what does any of this have to do with me? Like, that don't seem like a me problem, homie. I got my own shit to worry about. But what's happening? That's where Paul Heyman's true motive gets revealed. He says that Rollins, because he won the main event, he is the rightful number one contender, and he deserves a match anytime, any place, anywhere against Jey. The favor they're giving Jey is that he can choose where and when the match will happen. But the match will definitely happen. And Jey, being, the hyped up, overhyped, crazy babyface that he is, Mr. Yeet himself, he says, you know what a better place to do it but tonight. You want some? Come get some type of deal. Like, I like that. We see afterwards, Paul Heyman goes to Rollins backstage and says, it worked. So they were goading our boy Jey Uso into it, and in their words, he fell for the trap. The title's on the line tonight. Let's see what happens. Rollins is confident as it could be. Braun Breaker says that he sees the vision. I guess you could see more that Rollins is trying to see. Like, that Braun Breaker is going to be the next big thing training under Rollins anyways. I mean, part of this group with Rollins and Heyman. And, the three of them are hyped, basically. They're hyped. So that match was official for the main event later that night. Now, a match that happened because of just so many interferences, and this man's been dealing with the Judgment Day for weeks at this point, and that's Penta. Penta versus JD McDonough. Now, Penta wins, but my goodness, did he have to fight hard for that win? Like, the amount of people that interfered or tried to interfere in that match was insane to me. Like, 2 Judgment Day members on top of that. Gable comes out. He tries distracting Penta, but hey, Penta takes the W in the end, regardless of the point. So that don't matter. What I find interesting is that after the fact, in a backstage segment, we see, JD McDonough go up to Dom, Balor, and they're just all talking and things like that. AJ walks up. And before AJ says anything to Dom and, basically setting that up, he says, "What's up?" to Balor first. Very nonchalant, very subtly. Says, "Yo, Prince, what's up?" Balor gives him a little nod. I think that's a small hint right there. Like, hey, Balor's already changing his tune. And now AJ is kind of being like, friendly to him. Like, hey, man, we homies from a while back. So, is Balor going to go and team up with AJ in the future? Is that what we're looking at? Is that what's going to happen? I think that's, that's interesting. And, of course, then Dom, I think because he's champion, he thinks he can command Balor around, says, "Balor, why don't you go take care of AJ? You know him a long time." Balor seems like he gets a little upset. Then he, smiles and laughs it off type of deal. Say, "Yeah, no problem, champ." But you could see Balor meant what he said. He's like, "Yo, you think I'm going to clean up your dirty work? How about you handle it yourself?" He was serious about that. I don't care what anyone says. He was serious. So, let's see. Let's see what happens and when this breakup officially is going to take place. It could take place as soon as Backlash, honestly. I can see that happening. Now, I say Backlash is because it's official. It's Penta versus Dom for the IC Championship. I feel like this is Penta's shot of possibly grabbing it, but because Gable is now involved with Penta a little bit last 2 weeks, I could see Gable costing Penta this match because he tried costing Penta tonight, didn't work, and it could happen at Backlash. So let's see. I'm glad that this match is actually added because I personally think it'll be a pretty good match between Dominic Mysterio and Penta. I like Penta as a wrestler as it is. Right after that, we saw a return happen of someone I've been waiting personally on because I'm like, where's this guy been at? I know he's available and just chilling. I see his workout videos on Instagram all the damn time. He's crazy. Who that is? That's Grayson Waller's, Austin Theory's opponent after Grayson Waller found out who he was facing and he gave Theory the match. Theory being all excited about it basically got set up because it was Sheamus who returned. Yeah, the Irishman is back. So Sheamus now returns and puts on a good match, of course. Beats Austin Theory. But you can see Theory and Waller arguing after. Theory's upset. Set him up. At first, you took the match from him. Be like, yeah, I'm going to handle this next week. And then when you find out the opponent, you get scared and you get your partner to face him instead. Damn, that's just messed up, man. That's just messed up. I know Theory's seen this. Theory. Come on, dude. I don't know why we've been teasing this breakup of this tag team for this long, for God's sake. Just do it at this point. Do it. Get it over with. I don't think people are really even that invested as deeply they could have been months ago about this. Because you're just dragging it. And it doesn't really make sense to me personally. Things that are making sense to me personally is the Becky Lynch heel turn. Or Becky Hogan, as some people are calling her, which I find pretty damn funny. She says that, she took care of the trash. She took out the trash with Bayley. and no one cares about her. No one's asking about her because, Bayley is trash. And, Becky's words. I think this is all setting up Bayley returning at Backlash after Becky does defeat Lyra for her women's IC championship, which Lyra, ends up coming out. They brawl a little bit, and Lyra's left standing tall over Becky. I mean, we know how this could really turn out for Lyra. She had a good title run, in my opinion, and it's Becky who's going to take the title from her. Probably to set up some type of matchup with Bayley. I don't know if it's going to be immediate. I can see it happening at like a SummerSlam, even though we are a little bit far from there. So let's see. Let's see what direction WWE wants to go with it. And I look forward to seeing if Bayley does return at Backlash, indeed, to attack and get her revenge against Becky for taking her out. One matchup which I thought personally was going to be added, or they were both going to be involved, was a tag match between Julia and Roxanne against Rhea and Io. I thought that was this whole teasing last couple weeks, but Rhea was nowhere to be found this week. Roxanne and Io battled it out just to have Io win a very good back and forth match, and then Julia attacks her, and then Julia and Roxanne leave the women's champ laying just there. So because of Rhea not being here, I don't see this happening at Backlash. However, we could definitely see this happening next week on Raw. I can see that's possibly the plan. I'm just confused when Julia and Roxanne are officially going to be on Monday Night Raw. They keep saying that they're NXT superstars still, but as far as I understand, they're showing up to Raw, and Roxanne's literally having weekly matches at this point. So, like, what are we doing? Just get it over with and call it, in my opinion. I don't know. The Redeemer returned, obviously, a couple weeks ago when he took out the Alpha Academy, and he was facing Otis this week. Rusev and Otis, that's just two big-ass men beating the hell out of each other. That's exactly what they did. They beat the hell out of each other. Rusev ended up putting the accolade on Otis and just freaking destroyed him. Tozawa tried, stepping up. Rusev pretended to think he didn't care. Then he attacked Tozawa, attacks Otis more, and put the accolade deeper into Otis to really have, officials from the back come out and just make Rusev stop. I see that we're going with the dominant Rusev here. I like it. I personally like it. I think it's smart. Make Rusev into this dominant figure and make him into a next big thing. I don't know. Obviously, right now, he can't really go after a title immediately, but maybe things change and he can go after a title soon. I can see that happening very, very soon, or I'm not sure who he's going to keep facing. Otis was definitely one big man. I would say if Braun Strowman was still in the WWE, then that could be a possibility. But, well, I'm going to touch base on that in just a few as well. However, a big man who is facing someone is Gunther. Gunther versus Pat McAfee. Yes, Pat McAfee is going to have a match against Gunther straight up. They had a promo battle this week. Pat basically, he put on, I thought, an excellent promo. For anyone who has not checked that out, you should definitely check that promo out. I thought he did very, very well personally, and it was a really good promo by Pat McAfee. Another thing that Pat was saying to Gunther is like, yo, you're different now. You're not the same guy I was rooting for before when you were champ, but you got soft, dude. And Gunther didn't like that. He said, oh, really? He's like, don't worry, I'm not overlooking you. I'm gonna be more than ready for you. And I'm gonna choke you out. And I'm gonna take care of business. I'm gonna make that the worst night of your life type of deal. Because he's looking forward to putting his hands on Pat McAfee. And Gunther finished saying only God is gonna be able to force Gunther's arms from getting off of Pat. That's wild. Maybe it turns out to be a decent match. I don't know. I do not see Gunther taking a L here. I would be in shock if he did, to be honest. That would be really shocking to me. He can't take back-to-back pay-per-view L's. I mean, it's already happened, and let's not have it happen again. I mean, he literally tapped out to Jey Uso. And that's how he lost the title. This is his first match since then, so let's hope he does well. And speaking of Jey Uso, now we at the main event, baby. Jey Uso versus Seth Rollins for the World Championship. Great matchup. Let me tell you, man, what a matchup. Lots of close calls. I thought a couple times towards the end even that it was over. I mean, at one point, of course, Braun tries to interfere, and then you got Paul Heyman. In between all that, Sami Zayn comes out for the save. Zayn comes out. He's still bandaged up from all those spears he took a week ago. And Braun freaking circles the ring. Bang! Spears the hell out of him. Rollins is distracting the ref. Braun spears then freaking Jey. Jay's down. He gets him in. He hits him with the freaking curb stomp. 1, 2, kick out. Like, what? That was wild. A lot of close calls and kickouts in that matchup. But then, just as Braun spears him and Rollins go for the pin, who returns? CM Punk. Yup, we got CM Punk coming out for the save for Jey Uso. Comes out with a chair. He attacks, Braun a little bit. He gets Rollins. Rollins and Braun, they kind of hightail it and run through the ring. We see Punk, Sami Zayn standing tall in the ring. Jey Uso, he's recovering from getting beat down so much and having a long-ass match. But that was nice. I thought that was really dope that Punk is now back. This is something that I would like to see on the Backlash pay-per-view get added, and I hope that it does by Friday, is Punk and Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins. It's right there, guys. You could definitely use it, definitely do it, take advantage of it. And I feel like that's the direction anyways. I would have originally said it would have been Punk and Roman, but maybe they're just waiting for a better time for that. Plus, Roman is taking a small break, it seems. So he's gone for a little bit. In between all that, I think that was a really good way to end out the show. Now, as the show ends, we see someone from the crowd, bang, out of nowhere, knock out Jey. And who is it? None other than Logan Paul. This guy is really going after the title. I'm surprised this is not added to the Backlash pay-per-view. Possibly maybe they're just trying to milk it out a little bit longer, which is fine. I'm fine with it. We don't need to kind of overdo it either. I think that's a fair strategy and not a problem at all, just from my opinion, my view. But that was overall how SmackDown and Raw from this past week went. I thought Raw, especially the conclusion of Raw, was really good. The main event was fire. That was lit. I would like to just touch base on some of the releases that WWE did earlier in the week, which I was a little bit shocked of. Some of those names in there was Gigi Dolan, Cora Jade, Braun Strowman. Man, and some of the things I'm hearing are crazy. They were body shaming. Some of them, come on, guys. What is going on in the back? Oh my god. And Cora Jade, I thought was a good wrestler. Now she's gonna she'll be handling her own business, I guess. Same with Gigi. Would not be surprised from either of them doing that. I don't see Braun Strowman having to return. Maybe he goes to AEW, maybe not. It just depends on how much more he has left in the tank if he wants to really keep doing it. And I don't know. I just thought that some of the releases would not need to happen, but possibly maybe these releases happen because they're trying to sign some people. I know Mariah May might be on her way still. I think personally that Paige could possibly be on her way still. I guess Paige could possibly not be on her way since reportedly or supposedly, let me say, Alberto Del Rio may be back because of that lucha company that they bought. I wasn't really a huge fan of Alberto as it is. I didn't really care for him, but if I had to choose between him and Paige, let the man walk. Like, let's get Paige back in here. What are we doing? I don't know. I don't see the hype behind him. That's just me. Wasn't really a huge fan of Alberto back in the day. Anyways, he had a cool entrance. I guess that was dope. But man, like, you know, Alberto was a different type of person. Let's just say in the back with some people. So I don't know if that would be the smartest move for WWE to make nowadays. Now just recapping of what we got on the Backlash card itself. I mean, I mentioned a few of the matches: Gunther, Pat McAfee, the IC title match with Dominic Mysterio and Penta, who I believe that, you know, maybe Penta could lose here, and that's only because Gable is going to get involved. Unless El Grande Americano comes out and he gets involved. Maybe that's the play here, possibly. I can see that happening as well. And maybe we get like another tease of Balor and Dom breaking up type of deal. The Gunther Pat McAfee matchup, I mean, we're definitely saying that Gunther wins this, right? At least I believe that he should win this. I don't know if it's going to be a dominant win. Maybe Pat gets a couple of showing moments, if that makes sense. And then, Gunther takes it from there type of deal. I can see that happening very easily. The U.S. title matchup, I think that's going to be a match of the night type of match for sure. That's with Fatu, McIntyre, LA Knight, Priest. I could definitely see Fatu losing this by not getting pinned. And the only reason I say that is because Drew needs the U.S. title to become a Grand Slam champion. This might be one of the few times where he's actually fighting for the U.S. title. And honestly, you can give it to him and then have him lose it immediately, getting screwed or getting something like that. Just like how it's been happening with him for the past year and a half now. I can see that happening. Obviously, the Lyra and Becky Lynch, I think it's a lock that Becky Lynch is going to be our new women's IC champion. And most likely Bayley's going to return after. That's just my bold prediction. As well as, I don't know if they're going to add any more matches. As I said, a match I think they should add is the CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins. I just feel like that would be a really good matchup. And might as well pull the trigger on it with Punk returning last night. But let's see if they do end up doing that. They're okay with the current card they have. Their main event is locked in, of course, with John Cena and Randy Orton. I just don't see Randy Orton winning this matchup just because Cena just got the title. And Cena's going to pull some BS to retain. Remember all those years ago when Orton slapped the ref and got himself DQ'd? What if Cena just recreates that moment? I think that would be freaking hilarious, low-key. I think that would be great if that were to happen. But let's see. Let's see how it goes. Overall, Backlash is seeming like it's just happening. It's just here. Of course, we'll be tuning in. I'll be tuning in. And we'll see if my predictions are right or if I'm, totally off the rails for this one. I feel like these are pretty slam dunk and layup type predictions, and the card doesn't seem like it's too crazy. I personally think they will add at least one more matchup, but let's wait and find out. Maybe Friday night we get a matchup added. You never know. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in as always to the Pipe Bomb Sessions. I appreciate your commitment, and honestly, I appreciate those of you who tune in on a weekly basis. Thank you so much. And don't forget to subscribe and like as always, guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.